Kim here with Lead Generation Source. Is anybody else on?
Hello.
Hello.
I did some Etsy yesterday.
You know, it's already recording, just letting you know.
Sorry.
That's good though.
Okay.
All right, so and we'll talk. Hi, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm a little frazzled. I'm like running behind. I've been trying to get my sales text for the first quarter done, and we've got money just coming in from all over the place, which sounds great, except that it's definitely not worth the headache. So I'm like, okay, I got to get all that organized. One of these days, I'm going to streamline that, but there's no solution so far. So, and I apologize if you hear my daughter barking in the background, but I can't close the doors because it's too hot.
That's fine.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started on this. You guys can see the chat if somebody says anything, right? Ask any questions.
When I turn it on, yes.
You're all, yeah, if I open it.
If nobody else comes on, then there won't be any chatters.
This I forgot to change.
So what's on the menu for today? What are we doing?
Okay, so we're going to expand on our concept from last week where we're talking content and backlinks. And there's this concept called silo, and it's not overly complicated, but I want to try to show it to you without some of the, I didn't have a chance to create infographics or anything like, picture, like to show the flow, but hopefully this will make sense as I go through.
It's done on your website, right? Silo on your website you're talking?
Yeah, well, sort of. Yeah. Well, it might make sense when I explain it a little bit more. But yeah, basically what it does is it silos. You're going to silo from your website plus from your social channels that you're sharing from, right? Because now you're going to have 3. So let's say, well, I'll explain it in just a second. Let me go through the recap real quick. Okay, so the recap, we've over the prior weeks, we've talked about search engine optimization, on-page SEO, and the importance about on-page SEO is that we're going to use this for everything that we do, right? And that element is to say, okay, we're focusing a specific page of content or a specific product page to that one point. So even though I keep saying, okay, it's a recap of what we've done, that's because those steps help us with the future steps as well. So we've talked about offsite SEO, which includes creating backlinks that act as a vote for our site and the keywords we identify. And again, that concept is the same. So if we have a page that's focused on a keyword and we link that back to our site, we're helping reinforce what that page is about, what our niche is, etc. So offsite SEO not only creates backlinks, but it does help us drive traffic back to our site. Now, while this is a double reward because traffic is good and it's good for SEO, we have to also keep in mind that unless somebody sees that content, it's never going to drive traffic to us. So we have to also think of ways that we can get in front of people. And again, that's one of those we're going to have to explore is Instagram because everybody's talking about it right now. So we'll have to see if we can hop on before Facebook makes major changes to it. But still, search engine optimization in and of itself can drive quite a bit of traffic. So if we can get on page 1, which I think we can, especially for a lot of our product pages, then we'll be doing really well once we get that traffic. And I should say something else real quick while I'm thinking of it. So let's look at a keyword. Just if I can, stop it. Can you guys see my Google page now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, since I'm working on mom ornaments, I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to put mom ornaments in there. So now, obviously, you're going to, if you can see, let me see if I can make this bigger. Right here, this is an estimated volume because nobody knows what the exact count ever is. But this volume is going to be an average. And if I go into Google Trends, I don't even know. Oh, sorry, that is my timer that I forgot to stop. Okay, so if I go into Google Trends real quick and I type that in, I don't know if this might be too low of a keyword, but let's go with mom ornaments and see if I can get a chart. Yeah, so you can see here that, look at this peak. I have to wait a second. There's a peak here in December when that's when it was the highest. And otherwise, it's extremely low all throughout the year, even for Mother's Day and everything else. Like, people really at Christmas time have that peak. So even though we're in April and you think, okay, well, April, I mean, look, April 23rd of 2017, there's basically nobody searching for it. I mean, it's so low that they weren't tracking data then. So if I look at this number and I say it's a 390 average per month, that very well may not apply, because if you look at that trend, you say, well, Christmas is such a high search volume that this number, even as an average, is probably high until I get to, I don't know, July or something. But even then, this may not change. We don't know how they collect their information. So when I think of that, and I think, okay, let's just say it's half of that, or we'll just go with 200. So that's pretty close to half. So let's say there's 200 people per month searching. Now, when they search, they're searching all of this stuff. And the reason why Google has these up top as shopping ads is because that's their most effective, right? They put that there because that's the most, everybody who sees it on page one in the first spot with images, that's going to be way more effective than anybody down here. So my percentage, so even if I do rank here, right? Let's say that I can rank in this very first spot right here. My percentage of people clicking on this is probably still pretty low, because they're good. This is why Google's done this, is they like their shopping ads instead. So even if I rank on page one for mom ornaments, if I beat these out, which I very well may, I'm going to have a really tough time getting people to get past this onto here. Now, obviously, if somebody is in these first three spots, they're going to get way more traffic than past that. So my goal is definitely going to be, I want to be in the top 3 of it when I'm there. But even if I don't get there, getting on page 1, getting on page 2 is still going to drive some sort of traffic, especially at Christmas time, because then that's when your percentages are really high. Because let's say that there was a number, and I have it somewhere. It's like 92% or 95% of all traffic doesn't make it past page 1. And so if you're on page 2, you're only going to get 5% of that number. Well, even though this number is only like 200 now, that I may never actually get 5% of that. It might be Christmas time before I see that, because of the type of product it is. Now, that isn't the same for shirts or anything else. That's all dependent on your product. But I want you to understand that the search volume as an average does not dictate how many people are going to visit your site, even if you make it on page 1. You're going to have a percentage of people that click through. They're going to see titles, and there's no pictures here. So that's where places like Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of these places are a little bit better at driving traffic than search engine optimization, especially for products. So even though we want to get on page 1 and we want to do the best we can for our products, and I'm focusing on products because we're all that have been coming are all in e-commerce, we also have to think of, okay, now there's content as well. So I may not be able to get much traffic from here, but maybe if I do, see, I think this is going to still, yeah, see, these are all going to be shopping keywords. So what I want to do is I want to find Creative Mother's Day ornaments. I actually just searched this. This one doesn't have any search volume on it. And again, I would want to find one that's a non-shopping. Let's go with, well, this is where the Power Suggest Pro software would come in handy. Anyway, so I'm going to cover this in just a second. But I want you to understand that just because even if we have a high search volume, it depends on when we're looking at it. So I would check those trends and say, oh, is my number a little high? Is it, places like Etsy, if somebody goes on Etsy, we're going to be found easier than we are in a search engine optimization, unless we're in Google Shopping and we're paying for those ads. So search engine optimization is wonderful. It's great if we can get on page 1, but even if we can't, we can probably get on page 1 for complementary content. And that complementary content can help us rank on page 1 for our products. So that's where I'm going with this, is that we're going to create this silo effect back. But that's where we also have to focus on our other traffic sources. And as we do that, we'll be building the search engine optimization juice. So even if we don't get on page 1, we can still build lots of traffic from other places. And then, of course, everything that we do from here on out is all standalone traffic strategies, with the exception of Digo so far. And then we talked about this last week, WordPress.com, Blogger.com. Those are 2 places that you can go and create a blog if you don't want to put it on your site, or you can even, what I call syndicate content. That's because I'm learning about syndication, and where you can share your content to your other properties. And then I would say, Digo is a bookmarking site, so you can use that to build a pretty powerful link. And then Yahoo Answers, you can go in there and you can find somebody who has a related question and you can provide a link. Now, that doesn't necessarily, Yahoo Answers in and of itself isn't necessarily a keyword driven boost. All it is you're getting a power, you're getting some power from the Yahoo Answers platform, which is pretty powerful in and of itself. But you're also getting the potential as somebody else searches and they find that question that's related to what you answered, and your answer's in there, they may click on your link and go over to your product or your page. So to create more backlinks, you need content. Product pages, in my opinion, are a type of content, but these are harder to rank as product pages, and most content marketers do not include product pages as content. And that's because normally you're not going in there and providing value without somebody buying that product. So the content usually is related to providing people with information with no expectation of anything in return. Now, that doesn't mean much, but I'll talk about that in a second. So to help support our SEO efforts, we need to provide search engines with additional information. We do this by creating content-specific pages. Content is when we give something to the viewer with no expectation in return, though we create an opportunity for them to do that. Whether that's putting an ad in there that goes back to our product, or mentioning our product with a link back to it, or creating an opt-in page. I mean, there's like a lot of different ways where you can capture them as a return viewer or as a customer. So we still do that using content, but the purpose of the content is to create value. So then after we create our content, we share content to social media platforms, and this creates more backlinks and potentially more traffic. So content creation. So for this week, we're going to focus on driving people back to a blog to start with. So with the content, of course, we're going to link over to our product page, and ideally our product page and our blog ultimately is on the same platform. However, I know, like, especially with the Trex stuff, it's very difficult to use that site. Like, I'm not putting my products there. So if I'm going to create something, I'm going to push them back to either my Etsy store, or for EP Laser, I can create a blog on EP Laser and I'll push it back to my products on there. But just because, like, if you create content on a separate platform doesn't mean that you can't change that later on. So let's say that you do create a blog on your Trex site and you're like, well, I don't have my funnel set up for that yet, or I don't have my campaign set up for that yet. So I'm going to point them to Etsy, which is perfectly fine. And I think that is something that we should start off with until we find our converting products. You can always go back in later, use the exact same content and just swap out the link, right? I mean, all we're doing is we're creating that silo effect to one product, but we can always change it later. So I don't want you to get hung up on the whole, well, my Trex site isn't where I want it to be, or do I push it to Etsy, or do I push it to my Trex site? It doesn't matter at this point. You can test it either way. And if you're driving traffic and you're building that trust and that authority to your pages, it doesn't matter which way you're doing it right now. Etsy has a natural built-in authority. So the more you link to it, the happier Google is, the happier. I don't even think Bing and Yahoo even care. They like backlinks. And they actually don't even care a whole lot about the quality of your backlinks. That's why people still do that kind of cheating stuff. But I still beat them out anyway, so I guess it's not that good. So we have to create step 2. So step 1 is identify your keyword focus for the page. Now, it has to be related to your niche or your specific product, but it cannot be the exact keyword. Oh, I should probably finish my thought here. Step 2 is we're going to create content somewhere. This is usually a blog post. You can use WordPress.com or Blogger.com if you do not have a blog on your main site. And then, of course, again, keep in mind that just by putting those on a separate site, you're also creating an external backlink back to your page. So you're still creating that silo, that funnel back with the power that you're getting from these sites. And I would recommend WordPress.com or Blogger.com if, like, for example, if your Trek site isn't working yet, like mine, I'm not going to put my blog on the Trek site because they can't maneuver around it. They can't find any of my products. They can't really do anything on there. So I would rather put a blog somewhere else and then funnel that power back. WordPress.com and Blogger.com are actually quite powerful. So this, like, doing a WordPress.com is stronger than if you just create a WordPress site on your own unknown, no authority page, because WordPress.com holds some authority as it is. Now, I can tell you Google's smart enough to know that a brand new WordPress.com page has less authority than one that's established, but still, they look at WordPress.com more powerful than a no-name site out of, some Australian hosting or something. So once you've decided, where you're going to do it, we're going to include the tips for our on-site optimization. So focus on one keyword, make sure that we have the image in there that has the keyword optimization in it, an embedded video with similar keywords, etc. Now, the nice thing about this is that if you really want to get away with it, you do not have to create your own video. And there's some power with that, because if you can find a complementary video on a channel that has some power in it and you embed that on your page, that also gives you a little bit more of a boost. But I prefer to do my own videos related to my content. Like, I mean, I think I showed you guys this last week, right? Or on Monday, where you can go into Doodly and you can just take 4 tips about your blog, write them in there. I mean, it would be very, very easy. And then load that up, throw some background music in or whatever, and then just load that up. And there you go. And if you create your own channel and you're doing enough content, you'll eventually get enough trust and you'll start to get more people following you, and you'll start to build that traffic from YouTube then. So that's why I like to do it, but you don't have to do your own videos, especially when you're doing content like this. You can embed it from somebody else. Of course, the risk is that if they have competing content, they could always hop over to your competitor. So then, of course, after we've created the content page, then we share it to our social media platforms. That creates links back. So identifying complementary keywords. Content and product keywords are different, as I was trying to show you, but regardless, whether you do a product to a product or content to a product, they have to be different. So, like, for example, I'm working with mom ornaments. That's what I've titled the product page. So that's the product name, and that's the keyword that I focused on. I could have done Mother's Day ornaments or something else, but I wanted mom ornaments specifically because that is a keyword that I identified in e-commerce as something that is a little bit more focused, and a little bit, because, we talked about this before. If I say dog shirt, somebody's going to go, okay, well, if they type in dog shirt, how many breeds are there? They're not likely going to find the one they're looking for. So eventually they'll narrow it down to the breed that they want, and they'll type in pit bull shirt instead. And that's when you can say, okay, well, my shirt's a pit bull shirt, so they're going to be more likely to make that purchase and be a focused buyer if they're typing in pit bull shirt rather than dog shirt. So I'd rather focus on pit bull shirt than dog shirt. And that's why I would say I'd rather not do Mother's Day ornaments. I'd rather do mom ornaments, because if people are doing Mother's Day ornaments, they're not likely looking just for something related to mom. And of course, that's also much more competitive. And then you can use Power Suggest Pro, Google Keyword Planner, Google Keyword Suggest to find keywords. And I was going to try to say Mother's Day ornaments, but like I said, that's not a content one. But regardless, let's say that you decide that you're going to do a similar, maybe you do want to rank a page for Mother's Day ornaments and you're trying to point to mom ornaments. What we would do then is we're going to create our content, and I'm actually just going to bring up, I have this, I left it up from the other day. So I'm kind of working on it, but it's not going very far. I got distracted with something else. So I'm going to focus on this one. I actually did Mother's Day presents is what I was doing. So here's my focus, right? So my title is actually, and I don't have it on here, it's on the actual page, is Mother's Day presents. Wait, what is it? I was working on it. Do I even have it up yet? Yeah, here we go. Right here. So I'm working on this one. So this one says my title is Looking for Mother's Day Presents ? Right now, if I were to type that in here, I'm probably going to get a search term of 0. So this one says 0, but the reality is that that's just one way of saying Mother's Day presents. So if I narrow that down, and in fact, if you look down here, that's what Google has determined that you're basically saying Mother's Day presents. So I'm going to put that in there instead. So even though I said looking for Mother's Day presents, my volume is really probably closer to 27,100 per month. And of course, that's going to be skewed to higher right now because we're closer to Mother's Day. So if I were doing this in like November, I would say I would expect not to have much volume at all. But right now, there's probably a lot of volume. But if I look at, even when I put in Mother's Day presents, my search terms changed. So there's really, it doesn't really matter. And even, look at this one, 45 plus best Mother's Day gift ideas, presents for mom on Mother's Day. That's not even an exact match. And that's the first one. So there's no exact match keyword in here for that. So the chances are that I could get on that page, maybe not this year, but if I start, maybe next year. And it all depends. Like I have a, I can use Webfire and analyze this and see how many backlinks they have coming in and to see if it would be really worth my time. But I actually don't care because I need to create the content anyway. And again, when I create the content, which is here, I'm going to say, let me make that a little bit bigger. So I'm looking for Mother's Day presents because that's going to be my focus, Mother's Day presents. So I've got it in the title. And ideally, I would put it towards the beginning. So I might change that around to say Mother's Day presents, and then under $20. Maybe that's what I decide to focus on. Mother's Day presents under $20. Now, if you were looking at that, you would think that there'd be more than one that I'm talking about, but not my problem. And I'm going to test this. I'm going to see if that even works. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Don't do $2. You got it.
$2?
No, you had 2, and I thought you stopped.
Oh, it's probably a delay on it because there's, it's just.
Can I ask a general question?
Sure.
Okay, so what happens with the backlinks that's going to take a year? Like you said, maybe in a year you'd have enough. So the backlinks all add up.
That's I only said a year on this one because Mother's Day is almost here, and I don't think I can get enough momentum to get Mother's Day done. Get it done by Mother's Day. Like I can probably get on page 1 for if I were to focus and really work hard. I could probably get on page 1 for any keyword within 3 months. But I'm trying to do a ton of keywords at once, and I'm trying to build the content. So that's where our dilemma comes in, is that we have to build content in order to make this happen, whether we're doing it or we're paying somebody to do it. And so content is still important. And there are ways to tweak that. Like if you can, for example, you have Pitbull items. Like you could do best Pitbull gifts as voted on, like by let's say you went on your Facebook page, and over the next, couple weeks you kept asking for voting, and it doesn't matter if 5 people vote or 100 people vote because you've given everybody a chance to vote. It's on your public page. So you have people vote on this, and maybe they pick the top 5 out of your items, and you say, okay, top 5, and maybe you only have 5 available. It doesn't matter. top five Pitbull gifts, or top 5 gifts for every Pitbull lover, whatever you've decided to do for your keyword. You got to figure out your title based on which keyword you wanted to target. Then you'd write your post about that. Now, what you can do, and you don't have to focus on one like this, is then you would say, like let's say I had multiple. I actually do have multiple. I have a flower one. So I could do a flower one in here as well and point back to my flowers. Now, I'm just going to keep this as Mother's Day and point it back to mom ornaments, but then you'd create a link back to each one of your products. So like this one is a link back to the mom ornaments thing. And because it's mom ornaments and it's hyperlinked like that, that's what they call the keyword. That's the keyword anchor, right? So mom ornaments is my keyword anchor because I've highlighted that and made that what's going to be linking over. Now I could always go EP lasers, mom ornaments, and then in parentheses put found here and highlight that instead, because remember I talked about this before, that your keyword anchor, they don't want them over optimized. So they don't want out of 100 links back to your site, all of them saying mom ornaments. Now, honestly, I don't know how important that is, because that's what Google said, but and there have been some tests that show, but they're talking about doing like 20,000 backlinks. So if you have like 100 links back to your page and it's all on your own properties that are saying mom ornaments and link back there, it would be worth testing to see, do one way and do another one another way to see which one's better. It's all going to depend on your competition. But what you would do if you had like multiple on those is that you could do multiple products on it. so you don't have to focus on just one. But that's how you link back to your page. So, and I've mentioned this before. So this is the hyperlink back to my page. This is on my site. So that's what they call an internal backlink. Okay, an internal backlink. Internal backlinks are as if you get three from three separate pages. So let's say, and this is where I was going back with my content on this. I guess I didn't get that far, but I'll say it now and then re-emphasize it later. So 3 pieces of content that all have mom ornaments linked back to my mom ornaments page is as powerful as one very powerful external backlink coming in. So while we have no control over, Fox News or CNBC or MSN or Huffington Post linking back to us, because those are very powerful links. In fact, I see that on my competition. I go, I'm screwed. Moving on. And so I just go, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. Now there are ways to get those, but I'm not to that point yet, and I don't really want to. You have to pay pretty penny for it. And well, I take that back. You have to pay a pretty penny for it or the software to be able to find them. One day I will pay for the software to find them because it is very cool. But there are people who browse those like 5 times a day and look for that loophole. So there are other ways, other powerful links that you can get. Like Wikipedia. If you have a link back from Wikipedia, it's like you're going to rank no matter what, because that's such a powerful source. But that's few and far between. And even then, they're talking about 3 internal links being as powerful as one of those. What is going on? Cassandra, are you at the door? What are you doing?
Smoking in here, but the door shut on me.
Okay, well, do not open the door. You have no pants on.
Okay.
Go back. Go help Grandma. Seriously, children. Anyway, so 3 internal links. And I'd say that if you don't, like I said, if we're going back to Etsy, what I would do is just point it back to Etsy. And I think the concept's going to be similar. If you have 3 that are pointing, obviously internally would be better, but you can change that later when you're ready for it. So for now, we're just going to focus on creating a link back to our product. All right, let's see. And then of course, I've said this before, you want to make sure you've optimized your page. So like this one, I had to double check this, but I'm pretty sure even though this is the same image, and I don't want to do that. I was just doing this to put something on there. I'm going to have a different image here, and it's going to be its own unique image that isn't found on any other site, right? And it's going to say, it'll have the same term, it'll have Mother's Day presents as the keyword title and the alt tag. And this is Shopify. If you have to, I can't remember how I edited this. Yeah, so I double clicked it and I put the image alt tag in. So if you have a Shopify store, that's how you do that. So you'd load it with the title on it, and then you'd have to change the image alt. WordPress is much easier than Shopify, for the record. Once you get the hang of WordPress, it goes so much faster. So I want to do your optimization. You want to put a video in there and everything. You want to make sure you have your title, have your keyword in the first sentence as close to the front as possible, and then again a second time in the first paragraph. I go ahead and add it into my H2, and then this is an H3 right here, and I'm just testing this because what they say is that if you do it too many times, it hurts you. But I'm going, look, I don't think I have any competition on this, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it.
Hey, Kim.
Yeah.
Do you use SEO Yoast?
Yeah, well, I don't know. On some of them I do, on some of them I don't.
Okay.
Because
okay, go ahead.
Well, Yoast leaves a pretty big footprint on there, and I don't assume that there's anything wrong with it, but let me think about RE.
What I wanted to know is, do you find that when you put your H1, H2, put your keyword in the first paragraph that it says it's not there? I always get the red dots.
Oh
saying
yeah,
you don't have your keyword in the first. You don't have your keyword as a heading. You don't, like, it's on all of my pages. It keeps doing that, even when it's the first word of my paragraph.
Let me see. I haven't done one on a Yoast one recently. Wait, or have I? I was working on one the other day, so I don't know. But let me look on the pages. I usually do my pages on here. I haven't done a whole lot of posts on this one. I'm working on it, but I'm working on EP Laser first. So let's see if I go into, this is the one that I've been working on, right? This is the front page one. Okay, so let's see. I'm sure I have Yoast in here. Yeah, so I have my keyword. Did you put your focus keyword in?
Of course, yeah.
And then did you update the page or save it?
Yep. I've refreshed, save.
So mine is an exact match on mine though.
That's what I do.
Okay, so a lot of people say that you shouldn't do exact match because that's like gaming it, but I will tell you on products, exact match actually does better than like content. Google kind of picks from wherever, they don't care. But for products, they like exact match better for some reason. And of course that could just be based on product or whatever, who knows. But that a lot of people are reporting that. So anyway, so I like exact match anyway, because if somebody's looking for Arlington, Texas security systems, I want this to be clearly defined. So I don't see a problem with exact match unless you're in a really high competition. But yeah, so I put it there. And then do you actually define it? Do you come in here and say that this is an H2?
Yes.
Okay, so then that it should be triggering it as an H2. You may need to uninstall Yoast and reinstall Yoast. See, all mine are green.
Yeah, I see that. Wow. All mine are, I have like a lot of reds, all saying keywords not in the first paragraph, keywords not in my headings or whatever, tags or whatever.
Now, if you need to go, you have to go to this. No, you have to go to, where is it? I gotta remember. Oh, edit snippet. So if you want to put it in, because like this one's the meta description, you have to go to edit snippet in order to change that.
Yep.
If you, to get it to say it right. I mean, even if you have it there, you have to go in there and like resave it or something in order for that one to work. I don't know why. That one's weird.
Yep.
Now, this one just updated like a couple days ago.
Okay.
In fact, I bet this one has to be updated. Oh, no, it's fine.
Yeah, because they just want you to buy it. I have that same too. So
yeah,
okay.
so I mean, that's, you may have to uninstall it and reinstall it and see if it'll work, because there could be another plugin conflicting with it.
Okay, well, it shouldn't be because it's the new site I'm working on and there's not many plugins there. But okay, I was just curious if you were having the same problem that I am. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that at all. Sorry.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. All right, let me go back to here for a second. Okay, so obviously you want to identify keyword, and I want to emphasize this. The keyword for your content, or even if you want to do an alternate, just talk about your product post, it cannot be the same. So your keyword focus cannot be the same. Now you can use the keyword in there like I did with EP Laser, where why did I move that again? Let's close these and go back to here. So here where I have Mother's Day presents, that's my focus. Now I still use the term mom ornaments, but I'm linking out. You only have to do it once. You don't have to do it like 4 times or anything else, just once from this one post. And then we're going to create a total of 3 posts linking back. They don't have to be super long. And we've never really talked about content for a product. And to be honest, they've done some testing and search engine optimization, and everybody's reporting back. What are you doing? Everybody's reporting back that 1,500 words is more than plenty. Obviously there's a lot of variation, and that's for competitive stuff. So you could probably get away with a lot less. Now keep in mind, for content, that's going to be a lot easier to do than it is for a product page. That's also why product pages are not really content. Unless, of course, you're my grandpa and he decides to write a 5,000 word article on a book box and somehow the history of it. So I will be having to chop that up because Google doesn't like that. It's not that they don't like 5,000 words. They just won't read past like 3,000 or something. So you might as well just stick to the, 1,000 to 1,500 on the content side, but you only need that one link back to your page. So 3 of them total. I would even start with an 800 word or 600 word, something that I think Yoast even says 300 word minimum. So there's a lot of variation in there where you can start with something smaller and then add to it later. And in fact, that's actually beneficial because when Google sees you going and updating posts, they like that. they say, oh wait, there's activity on this. It's not, it's refreshed. It's relevant. They're bringing it. It's still got a historical aspect to it, and so there's some benefit to that as well. So if you just start off with 300, 400, 500 words and create that link back, that's great. Now I didn't get to put, like I said, I didn't get to put all these back in, but ideally the way it works, and Cassandra, no, I am doing this. Turn it off now. This is why I hate not having a door that shuts. Should have gone to the office after all. Anyway, so what we're going to do, and I apologize, I'm sorry, I got multiple things going on here at the house, and the silo effect is basically like this. And let me just do a new one. And design, insert. I just did this the other day. You think I'd remember where it is. Smart art, that's what it is, smart art. So we're going to do a hierarchy real quick. Let's do that. Okay, so you have your, I got to zoom back out. Oh, what am I doing? We're actually going to delete this box. Delete, 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 delete. Just delete it. Okay, so this is exactly the way it works. So I'm going to say mom ornaments, right? Mom ornaments here. And I'm going to create my Mother's Day presents. And I'm going to have a keyword anchor back to mom ornaments. And I'm going to have, and actually what I might do is just go back and leave it as Mother's Day presents. And then I'll do Mother's Day gifts under $20. And I'm going to have a keyword anchor back to mom ornaments. Now, this is up to you. Again, I've talked about this. You can make the actual keyword anchor mom ornaments, or you can just make it a naked URL or put here. And a naked URL is where you literally copy the URL and that's your hyperlink. So you can do whatever you want. We just need to get 3 links back to it. And we don't want to mix it with an alternate keyword. So if you're going to do a keyword, make it the product, the focus keyword of this. Otherwise, you want to do something like general, here, visit this page, or just the naked URL. I mean, and you can do one of those general ones, but don't do a keyword like Mother's Day ornaments and try to link that back, because even though that should be fine, we're trying to focus this, right? We're trying to keep that hyper focus so we're not mixing our keywords on here. So I'm going to say I've got Mother's Day presents, Mother's Day gifts under $20, and then maybe best DIY Mother's Day ornaments. And then I would have a keyword anchor back to mom ornaments. So what this does now is this gives me 3 internal links, or 3 powerful links back to this. And again, ideally, we're eventually going to make this internal, but if you can't, that's okay. So if this is on your Etsy site, that's fine, because you can eventually switch it over. And you can always copy your content over to another site. There's nothing that's going to penalize you enough at this point that is going to be, worthy of worrying about. So just getting the content created is the hardest part. So just get get that started, get a picture in there, start looking for a video. Now, of course, you can go into YouTube and you can create a video, but you can also pull up, I like Doodly, but there's a ton of them out there. You can do it in PowerPoint if you have PowerPoint. You could just do a PowerPoint with some pictures in it. You can do just about anything, because the point of the YouTube video is just to siphon off the YouTube juice. So if you want to, you can just go into YouTube, and if you're going to find one, you're going to want one that's related to. Come on. And of course, this, like I said, if you do something like ornaments, then you're going to run into any of these, for that matter. You're going to run into problems where people are going to, you're going to potentially drive people away from you then. So that's why I like to do my own, but that's completely up to you. So you can come in here, you can find one that has a lot of traffic on it, and then you can do your share, which I don't think they have an embed code you can do, but if you're doing WordPress, you generally don't need to do it. So you just have to copy this and put it in there. And we've covered how to put videos in before. So you could do that and siphon off some of their 527,735 view power. You're not going to get their views, but you can get, this is obviously a powerful and trusted video for that keyword. So, but their keyword is Mother's Day paper heart decoration card. But obviously it's going to be related to Mother's Day. So that is something that you could, as long as you keep it in related to the niche, you should be fine if that's how you want to do it. So then anyway, so we're going to take those three, we're going to link that back, and that's how we create our silo. Now each one of these, and this is going to be much harder, so I'm going to take this back and go, stop it, content 1, and then I'm going to change this because it takes me too long to figure out how to adjust everything. We're going to say content 1, and then we're going to share that to other places, right? So we're going to do Pinterest. We're going to have, we need a quality pin. And then we're going to go, we already have a video. If we've done our video, it's already on YouTube, so we're not going to obviously share it there. But we're going to share it to Pinterest. We're going to go ahead and share it to Facebook, to our page. And then, of course, if we can, if you're comfortable with it, to your personal, you want to share from your page to your personal Facebook. And that, again, it goes back to the reason why we do that is because the Facebook page does not have the organic reach that it used to have. So we've got to think creatively of how to do that. And that only way to do that right now is to share onto your personal page. And then that can potentially get you some enough engagement that you'll expand your organic reach. If you don't have a ton of followers on Facebook, that's okay. You still want this link back, right? And you still want it to be public and so searchable on Facebook. So then let's see, what's another really good one? LinkedIn, if you are doing it, but again, LinkedIn is more business to business. So let's see, social media wise, I would say definitely Pinterest, definitely Facebook. What are other ones that you guys are using social media wise?
Twitter. What about YouTube?
Well, YouTube, you're going to have, you're going to have YouTube in your content. So you're not going to actually share it to YouTube.
Oh,
You're going
gotcha.
to get that YouTube, you're going to have that YouTube power as part of your content.
Oh, right. Okay. So Twitter, no?
Yeah, I mean, you could do Twitter. You could do Twitter, definitely for the link back at least. I'm not sure how much traffic, but definitely for the link back. And then, so let's say Twitter, and then I have a whole list somewhere around here of them. So what I have been working on, and this is what I'm hoping to eventually build for all of us to be able to do, is where we build, I'll have a syndication network that you guys can go to, but building your own syndication network would also be of value. And that is when you build your own, you're basically your own, all your properties that automate, right? So I use the if this, then that. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. IFTTT. It's a free platform.
Okay, I've never heard of it. If this, then that. I mean, I know it first. If you're going to be doing computers, programs and things, but
right, yeah, that's what it's based off of. So, and in fact, a lot of people use this for automation. It's so funny because all of us, I mean, I've heard of both because I'm in both worlds, but most marketers have never heard of if this, then that. Like, seriously, they've never heard of it. And I go, I'm like, how have you not heard of it? And then I'm talking to my brother the other day who's in the software programming world. And I'm like, have you heard of Hootsuite? And he's like, no. I'm like, have you heard of Buffer? And he's like, no. Yeah, I know what a buffer is. I'm like, no, Buffer app? He goes, no, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, have you heard of if this, then that? He goes, well, yeah. Why wouldn't I have heard of that? And I'm like, okay, see, John, you're the exact opposite of every marketer I know. Of everybody who's in e-commerce, everybody who's in, it's like two completely different worlds. So it's kind of funny. But this is a really great way to bypass having to use, I mean, you still use Buffer for part of it because you can't get to, Google Plus, that's one we need to do. We need to do Google Plus. In fact, I'd say if you had to pick between one, Google Plus is the better one. And then if you've created your own YouTube video, you can do it to the same channels or whatever. But this is how I switched. This is how I got my Arlington, Texas security page. I couldn't get to page 1 to save my life. I'm like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, though I am a little over optimized. I'm like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing on here. Why am I not getting on page 1? Now, sometimes it's just a matter of taking time. But what I ended up doing, and this is literally what made the difference, is I had a video that was linked, embedded in my page, and I shared the video from YouTube to my Google Plus. And like in a week, I ranked on page 1. And I was like, what? So that Google power is there's so much power in that. So there's a couple of other Google properties that I'm playing with that I'd like to test out. I don't know if they're going to keep them. That's the whole reason why I don't want to, focus on them if they end up getting rid of them. But the Google Plus profile or page, either one, you can do profile or page or both.
And then just put the video onto the profile and the page.
Yes. Yeah, I would share it to both, to the profile and the page, if you can. I got to look and see if you can do both or if it was just one. But either way, if this, then that, what you do, and I actually have to use a different, oh, it's already up, good. I'm going to log into, so I wanted to be logged in. So I'm going to go in and I create these, these are what they call applets, which are they used to be called recipes. So services, it's a whole different world, right? But these are all different services that I have connected, right? So I've got Blogger. I do have Buffer connected, the free version. And that's only because you cannot connect to Google Plus through IFTTT. You have to connect, or you can't share content. You can connect it, but you can't share content. So you can't share, so you have to use Buffer to share to Google Plus. And then I don't know why that's there. Digo, these are just normal stuff. Evernote, Facebook Pages connected, Google Docs, which I'll show you guys how to do that stuff later. But I have Google Docs. So I have all of these connected so that when and I've actually created, these are all my applets that I have here. You'll see. So this is all my YouTube ones. And you can only have, I guess this doesn't really, is irrelevant, but you can only have one YouTube channel linked at a time. So, and only, like, I don't know why. There's something with blog.com, but I can't get blog.com to work anyway, so it's kind of pointless to even talk about. So anyway, so all my YouTube ones will share to all of these. And then I also have what they call the RSS feeds, right? So Shopify has an RSS feed, but WordPress has one as well. But I'm using my Shopify RSS feed. So when I create something, it will automatically pin to Pinterest. It'll post something to the Facebook page. It'll post to Pinboard, which that's a paid version. It'll post to a WordPress.com blog. It'll do a tweet out. It will post to Tumblr. It will create a thing in my Pocket, which I then have to go back in and share publicly, but that's irrelevant. I have a OneNote page, so it'll create a link in there. It'll create a file in the Google Drive and have a link back. It's public and open. Evernote, same thing. It has a link back, and then it syndicates the content to Blogger, and then it also has this is Digo for a bookmark, and then this is of course Buffer to go back to Google Plus. So it does all of that automatically. Yeah, so I went through a training to learn how to set it all up and everything, but it's not hard if you know where you're going.
Say, do you know where we should go for training for this? Because I'm not familiar with this at all until you just mentioned it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I knew about it. I really needed the checklist, but the training is very helpful. But anyway, so the checklist helps me go through and do that. The doing all of this stuff is really easy. Like you could do a YouTube video on it to see how to run this, but it's really, really simple on this part. The hardest part is setting up all the profiles. And like right now I'm using a special browser so that I can do more than one, but you guys can do it if you're just doing one. Like this is literally my EP Laser accounts. I have everything EP Laser accounts because I have a whole RE Security Solutions is completely separate. I'm going to build all of its own accounts. So I had to purchase this freaking special browser in order to do this. So it wouldn't, because like Google, and unless you wipe your footprints every time, it screws stuff up. That's exactly why I got banned on Pinterest. And reporting back on that, by the way, the software I had Pinterest, though they did their changes, the software wasn't the issue. So Pinterest is making major changes, and they're going to be, so if you get banned, don't be surprised, just appeal it.
Brian mentioned something, I don't know if you saw, you put in the chat. Really, if this and that was the way before, Zapier, which I've also never heard of.
Oh, Zapier,
And,
yeah.
Quickly, can't you do this then in incognito?
No, not really, because incognito, what happens with incognito is that it depends on the platform, but it's changing I want to keep my cookies, right? So every time you do incognito, it changes the incognito cookie. You can't keep it. If you open it incognito and then you close it, then you open it incognito again, you've wiped that all clean. So that's fine, but I want to go back into my accounts and not have to re-authenticate or verify or anything else. So that's why I had to get that special one. I mean, it's just like if you were to use, like you could use Google and Firefox and Bing if you wanted to have 3 separate accounts. But I have like 5. And so I was running into problems because I don't use the Microsoft ones. I won't use Internet Explorer or Bing or any of that because, or whatever that is. What is their new one? They have it in here.
So
Edge,
how much
Edge,
was Edge? That's right. How much
Yeah.
was this program to purchase the separate
Oh,
window
the
browser?
I think it's supposed to be $67, but I found a coupon code and it's only $47 a month, though.
A month?
So, yeah, a month. And for me, I'm like, well, it's worth it for me because I need to do that. But it's set up so you can use different IP addresses and everything else. So it's really for people that are hardcore, marketers and trying to do multiple profiles. I would just, if you don't have more than 3 separate profiles, I would just separate it and do one in Chrome, one in Firefox, and one in Edge or whatever. And then just make sure you open those, because I save all my passwords and everything else for all my normal stuff in my regular Chrome. And so I was running into problems with that because everything's bookmarked. And you can actually, Google doesn't really care if you have multiple. They let you keep all your properties on there. But what ends up happening for me, like I said, like for Pinterest, I was going in and I have 4 accounts that I'm working with because I never reacted to the 5th one. And I didn't have 4 browsers to use. So I was like, this is stupid. And I kept getting everything shut down. I even tried doing 2 different computers. And I think that's what I ran into a problem. But if you know what footprints are, in the case that we're doing this, we're actually claiming our footprint and using all of this power. So I'll get you guys, if you guys are interested in this type of stuff, then I'll get you guys some information on it, because I had to track it down and I can't remember how I got to it. So I'll have to look it up. But I actually found it through another training. So I'm not sure how to get to it publicly. So I'll have to find that link publicly and I'll share it with you guys if you guys are interested in that. But I am not, Brian. I'm not using a VPN because I don't need to. My properties are mine. So just because I have 5 of them doesn't mean that they don't care. Think about this. If you go to a library or Starbucks, right, that's the same IP address. So there's going to be 40 people on there. So you just kind of have to warm up your IP address so that these properties know, even though it's like this one's a residence, but my business is a business one. So I could have multiple properties at that business one easily, but I have to warm it up, though I have been doing that. But I've been using my laptop and my computer and my IP addresses the whole time. You can use multiple IP addresses with that software, but you don't have to. In fact, the only reason why I like it is because it gives it its own unique, it's basically its own personal browser for that entity. And that's why I like that software. But anyway, so that's just if you need to do it. I would recommend, so people like Linda who just have the one she's focusing on, or maybe 2 if you're doing a religious niche or something like that and you're separating that out, then you just use your 2 different browsers. Just use, Chrome for one and Firefox for the other, or Edge, or whatever you like, whatever 2 you like the best, and to do all your properties. And then keep a spreadsheet, keep a spreadsheet of where your properties are. Like if I don't think I have it open here, but I have a Google Drive document that I can pull up at any time and say, okay, what is my password? Where do I go? What is this? And it makes it really easy. But Yeah, but the if this and that, Zapier. So Brian, Zapier's, I think you have to pay for Zapier now. Like you used to have to pay for if this and that, but then they made it free again. So who knows? It's been free. They've always had a free version, but then they had a, yeah. So Zapier costs money, yeah. But Zapier integrates with a lot more stuff than if this and that. Like there's a bunch of stuff that's not on there. Literally, if this and that is more for your social platforms, your free entities. But if you're using paid sources, like there's a lot of platforms out there that are paid where you're paying somebody for like a membership platform or for different things, then Zapier will integrate with a lot more of those. So does the silo thing make sense on trying to funnel back your content and sharing your content to places?
Yes.
I figured Brian would get it. Brian's sitting here going, man, this is like the
Yeah.
easiest webinars I've ever go to.
He said yes on that.
Is Linda still on?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could check. I could go backstage and check. Linda's like, I'm confused though. Brian's obviously been on many of the same webinars I am. Well, don't worry about the resources I'm talking about, Linda, because you don't need any of the resources that I'm talking about. What you want to do right now is focus on, wait, where'd my little funnel go? Right here. You want to focus on creating your content, sharing your content to your, and we've talked about these platforms, right? Twitter shouldn't be a surprise to you. Google Plus should not be a surprise to you, though it is a pain in the butt. So I do recommend integrating, at least getting if this then that to attach a free buffer, so that way you don't have to worry about sharing your content to Google Plus, because it's a nightmare. But sharing it is very powerful. And so all this is now, Linda, you've looked at Buffer or Hootsuite, right? And I know we've looked at these before, but I'm going to show you Buffer real quick.
We looked at Hootsuite a long time ago before we knew anything. So
right. So the Buffer and Hootsuite basically do the same thing, and what they do is they automate the posts out. And what you can do with if this then that is you can connect your Buffer account, which is free, right? They have a free version. It used to apparently be free for one social profile, and they now have it so that there's 3. But all we need it for is the Google Plus. So we go in there and we do, well, and actually I take that back. We'll probably want it for Instagram too, eventually, once we get into Instagram. And if we get into doing LinkedIn stuff, we'll do it. So we'll have those 3 properties, but they already have if this then that has one for Twitter and one for Facebook. So we only need it for these 3. And then of course they have one for Pinterest as well. So if you look at this, you can do the exact same thing with these, but you're going to be paying money. You're going to be paying $15 a month. You're going to be paying $100 a month or whatever to get all these properties. I mean, think about how many integrations I had on if this then that, right? I mean, it was a lot. Oops, I closed it. It was probably close to 25 different integrations. And I'm looking at $100 a month to be able to do that. And I was like, no, thank you. I'd rather spend my 2 weeks setting it up and save $100 a month forever now. And eventually I'll get to the point where I'll be even paying even more if I were to get, because now it's 50 total, right? So now if I have 2, I have my EP Laser, my RE Security Solutions, now I'm paying, and that's not even including all-time fines, let's say 3. Now I'm going to be up to this one, because I'm going to be up at over 50 of them. I'd be up at $400 a month is what I'd be saving by doing the if this and that. So that's the difference between the 2. And as you build and you get more onto this, we can talk more about if this and that if you guys want to. I just wanted to show you that that's one way that we can make it faster. So we're not going in there, creating the content, then having to manually share it to everything. That we can just set it up there and start pushing the content out.
So you're suggesting which social accounts again? Google Plus, definitely.
Yes, I would definitely do Google Plus. I mean, I don't know. I always dismiss that one from my brain because, it's hard to use, but it is extremely powerful. So I would start with, in fact, I would start with the ones that are here. So they have Twitter. If you have Twitter, I would definitely share it to that to get that link back, because Twitter is powerful. Facebook, you want to, like I said, you want to definitely put it on your page, and then if you can share it into your personal one to get some additional movement on it, that would be good because you get another like or whatever, and it helps. It's no big deal if you can't do that. They have LinkedIn, but LinkedIn, and we haven't done a whole lot with LinkedIn. You know, I don't even know if we've done it yet, but LinkedIn has its own pages as well. And I haven't seen anything that integrates with the LinkedIn pages. So I'm a little concerned about LinkedIn, but you can do it for your profile or whatever. That's fine. They have Google Plus, and of course, we'll talk more about Instagram hopefully next week. Maybe the week after, just depends.
We can only use 3 social accounts, it says. Is it not?
Yeah, for here, oh yeah, then just do, for Buffer, just do LinkedIn, well, just do Google Plus to start with.
Google, I'll do Google, Twitter, and I don't know. Because Facebook, I literally schedule a week, like 8 posts a day, a week or more ahead when I have a chance.
Yeah, so, sorry, I was reading Brian.
Facebook.
Talking about Hootsuite, yeah. Is that a month, Brian, or is that like you're good? You're paid for? Oh yeah, that's not bad at all. Now, so what's really nice about If This Then That, though, is that, so let's say you're scheduling content on Facebook. Like, there's a way that you can go in. Oh, God, I got to open the other one again. It's going to take too long. It just takes too many resources for all of those to be up. In fact, I've got too much stuff up now.
Hey, Brian, can you do Google Plus on Hootsuite? Did anybody say?
Wait, what was the question?
If you could do Google Plus on Hootsuite.
Oh, you probably can.
For free?
Well, they have,
oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, he says, oh, yeah. Okay, I have a free account there that I've used, and I haven't used it in quite a while.
Yeah, this is the one that I told you that I hate that they don't show you as much detail on here before you sign up. So you have to sign up and then, yeah, but I don't personally like Hootsuite very much.
Yeah, I liked it, actually.
I mean, it's not difficult or anything. I just didn't really like the platform of it. But, you know, like I've got, you know, Webfire will do it. Will do as many as I want. There's no limit because you pay for Webfire and it's just one of the resources they have. But they can't connect to as many platforms. So I can only do like Twitter. I can do Facebook pages, and there's something else I don't use that they have. But they have like their blogs. You can connect to like Blogger, I think, on there. And so anyway, so they have like some things that you can do through that. But what I liked about the If This Then That is that all I have to do is post the content, and then it automatically shares across everything. And so I don't have to do anything, right? I don't have to, I've set it up. It just automates for me. So like, and I'm sure there are ways to do that maybe with Hootsuite, but when I was in there, and this is the problem, I was actually on a paid version, was that I had to basically schedule content for each one of my platforms. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. Yeah, no, Brian, I'd say if you have $119 a year, don't give that up at all. Definitely keep it, and you figure out a way to utilize it, because that's a really good price for it. That's like me. I don't want to ever give up Demio because I'm paying $500 a year for my platform. And if I go with any other platform and it's 1,000, I can have up to 1,000 people. Now, obviously I'm not even close to that, but if I were to pay for 1,000 people on another platform, I'd be paying like $500 a month. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep my $500 a year plan with Demio because it's really difficult to get onto a good platform for a cheap enough price. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, Brian. I am in the exact same boat as you. But for me, I look at it and I go, okay, now I need to start looking at how each of these resources, like my $47 a month for my browser thing, and for the, you know, I think I'm paying $100 a month or whatever for following or for SEO tips. I'm like, okay, now how can I take these and turn them all into making me money instead of me paying money out for them? And so you want to make sure that you're taking Hootsuite and going, okay, yeah, $119 a year is not bad. I guess it's a lot. There's stupid excuses for why. Yeah, Brian. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, again, these are completely, like, Joanne might be it for you because you're not in the software side. It might be easier for you to use Hootsuite, especially right now. Hootsuite and Buffer, they're very similar. So you make a free account in Hootsuite, you make a free account in Buffer. But what I like about the if this then that is that you can create commands essentially that say that when I post on Facebook, it shares to all of these platforms, right? So and you've already mentioned it can go to Twitter, it can go, but you want to make sure that it's going to as many as possible. And like I said, I think when I set it up, I have 19 platforms that right now I'm still building, but I have 19 platforms that I'm on. And some of them can curate content and some of them are literally just a link back to my site. Thanks, Linda. Have fun. Think about your keywords and content. So on that note, we are actually at an hour. So let me go to action items. So what we need to do now, and this is going to lead us to Pinterest, by the way, Joanne, is that we're going to identify some complementary keywords and we're going to create content for, so we're going to identify our products. Let's say, for example, mom ornaments. I've come up with the 3 keywords that I want to focus on. I'm going to create content for those 3 keywords, and then I'm going to go ahead and build my silo for that. Here's the great thing about that. That is now 3 pieces of content, right? And we're eventually, oops, that's the wrong one. We're eventually going to train.
How many pieces?
Well, it's 3 pieces of content, the silo back, right? So we're going to silo back. Remember the silo, of course, this is sharing, but we're going to have this is the way I had it before, mom ornaments, right? This is my main piece, my main product. And then I'm going to have content 1 with an alternate keyword, content 2 with an alternate keyword, and content 3. And then each one of these is going to have a link back to mom ornaments, to the main page, right? So, and actually I take that back. If you're doing this on Pinterest, this is actually 4 pieces of content because you have your product page. And then remember I talked to you about doing your pretty pins instead of just pinning to it. So you have 1 piece of content here, and then you're going to have 3 more pieces of content here. We're building to have 30 pieces of content. We just don't want to have 30 product ones, unless of course we're doing Etsy groups, which we've talked about that. If you're going into Etsy groups, then who cares? You can start doing that immediately. But what we're eventually building to is to having 30 pieces of quality content in a board so we can show that we have quality content when we're pinning into these groups. And so this isn't like a short strategy, but in order for us to get into some of the better groups, we need to have 30 pieces of content. And then we can start sharing the pins into these very active groups. So that's where we're doing our content back to our pages. So this is where we're at, right? We're going to pick one of our products for now. We're going to identify some complementary keywords. Obviously we want some content ones. If not, then just whatever 3 pieces, create the content for those 3 keywords. And then we're going to create that silo function back. And this is the silo, right? So we have this silo, and then each one of these is going to be sharing out. You're going to be sharing the content out. So you're then creating additional links back. And these aren't on separate entities, but the more you have pointing back to your site on your own properties and showing everybody that, showing Google, showing Bing, showing Yahoo, showing Pinterest, showing all of these places that, oh, hey, you know what? Look, there's content. People are coming in from these places. People are doing this. Then they're going to like everything you're doing more. And ideally, we start driving some pretty good traffic from this as well. So that's our goal. We're going to create the 3 pieces of content. So we create that silo back, and then we're going to share them. So 3, and then eventually we're going to go 3 pieces of content. We're building 30 pieces of content. To apply to Pinterest groups. So I don't know if you guys can see this now. I'm going to have to do a map of everything we've talked about so far and show the foundation that we've built, because this is a pretty strong foundation that we've built. And as we start to connect these last pieces together and we start building this content, this is where we should be able to start building, getting some traffic. And I know we're not going to get it overnight, because I know Linda's a little behind on some of the platforms. And then, of course, sometimes it's just experimental on the content, or we have to sit there. For example, my mom ornaments probably aren't going to get any traffic until Christmas time. That's just the way it's going to be. So some of us may take longer than others to build up the, why can I not find that? Here we go. There's the pop-up chat.
So Kim.
Yeah.
Each pin that I put up, should that be directed to the top of the silo or stretch, like do different ones to content 1, content 2, content 3 pages?
Yeah, if you have additional
Kind of-
content pages, because what's going to happen is, like I said, you can have as many pins as you want. So if you have 50 pins that you want to point to just one, to the one main page, let's go back here for a second. So let's say if I want to do 50 pins going here, and of course I want them to be high quality pins. So I say, okay, I've got my, sorry, I'm trying to make this so I can see the chat as well.
And when you say high quality, just good pictures and like we
Yeah, I
discussed.
mean, I showed you it doesn't even have to be that good quality. I mean, Pinterest, people on Pinterest are like questionable at best. I mean, they're literally just pinning it how it is. They're not taking advantage of the properties. And Brian, I don't think you were here on with us on Monday, but what I did is I showed on Canva, you can use, and if you have Photoshop or whatever, you can do it with this too, but they have the dimensions in here where, or they at least have it here, and then we talked about the dimensions, where you can do a Pinterest graphic. Now, this is supposed to be better than other ones. A lot of people have been complaining that Pinterest, this is prior to this most recent Pinterest change, that this vertical approach wasn't really working, but this is what Pinterest says they want. They want square or they want vertical. When you go to Pinterest and you look at Pinterest, okay, it's going really slow, sorry. You can see that, I mean, some of these are square and they're okay, but I mean, like, look at this one. This one's got 2 pictures. If it was vertical like this one was, there's a lot more room to do something where you can put in some words, or you can put in, additional product pictures or something like that. So you want to take up the real estate. When somebody's looking at this, this is much more obvious than this is, even though they're 2 completely different. And I think the puppy's cuter, but I do like the eagle. Obviously, they definitely nailed me on this. So, oh, here's a promoted one. But that long one does take up more real estate and shows off your stuff better. So take advantage of it. I mean, this one's even a little bit longer. It doesn't look like it's the same size, but this is supposed to be an optimal size here, is what's in Canva. So, all right, let me go back to here. Anyway, so that's what so when you're building it, you can build 50 pins back to here as long as they're 50 unique pins. But same thing is, you want pins going to your content, because when you're building a pin to your content, you're also letting people, it's another opportunity, right? So this is about mom ornaments. So any pins that I make about mom ornaments are going to be related to that. But if I do this one and I say that this content piece is about Mother's Day presents, now each pin that I make is going to link back to that one. And ideally, I don't have the same images or the same videos. So I'll be able to pin each piece of content or create pins for each, with each picture in mind or something. And then I can have those there as well. Because think about it, we're building these and they're going back here. So we want to build traffic to both. We want to capture people who aren't necessarily looking for mom ornaments, but are looking for Mother's Day presents. And they're like, oh, I never even thought about mom ornaments. So now they see my pin, they read my article, and they're like, oh, cool. I'll just get my mom some mom ornaments. And then they go back to my product page and they purchase. So these are additional funnels bringing traffic in. And that's why you don't want to focus on the same keyword. Because if you have Mother's Day ornaments, Mother's Day ornaments, Mother's Day ornaments, then you're probably not going to be bringing in different traffic. Now, yes, you could still find different people with each one with the same keyword, but I would pick 3 complementary keywords and try to bring traffic in from each one of them. So now I'm bringing traffic in from each one of these similar ones, whether it's from Pinterest, whether it's from YouTube, whether it's from search engine optimization, whether it's from Google+, it doesn't matter. As long as we're out there, somebody can eventually find us. Now, it does take some time to build the momentum. It's very rare that, unless you're paying for ads, that you're going to get any type of really good traffic back. Ouch. Okay, I'm sorry. Are you okay?
It hurts right on here. Ow.
Okay, why don't you just go over there?
It hurts.
Don't touch it.
Okay. Oh,
Goodness.
it hurts.
I think that's my cue that I need to leave. I need to go help her. She obviously did something that injured herself, and now she's being a big baby about it.
Ouch.
I baited her on that one, I know. So anyway, so that's would be what I would say, Joanne. I mean, it does take a little bit of work, but you know, using Photoshop or Canva, you can do a real quick, even if you wanted to do the same style, right? Like I did one in Canva here. Let's go back to my graphics here, my designs. You know, I did this one for an ad, and I'm like, I kind of like that look with the two triangles here and then the strip down the middle. So that's just a background with the two triangles over it. I'm like, yeah, that kind of pops. So I'll test this. And if I end up liking that, or if I want to have like 5 that I'm testing that I'm regularly, I could create a pin the same way, right? So I just create that, and especially with Photoshop, it's really easy. I create that background and then I pop in whatever I want. Like, let's say that I decided that I wanted to have some sort of wording, and you can even, if you go into their designs, you can look and see, go back to Pinterest one. You know, they have some recommended ones that they have, which I don't like. This one's really kind of, this one here is really a really good example of a good pin. There's the product. Why would you not want to do that? Right? So you've got your product picture, and then you could put up here what it is. Because like, especially with my mom ornaments, like people do not know what those are. Like they're like, well, that's cool. What is it? And it's like, it's an ornament. Oh, it's an ornament. Oh, okay. Then all of a sudden it makes sense to them. So now if I put mom ornaments and I have a picture of them in use, ideally, then that's going to be way better than me just pinning a product picture. So I would combine. So I would say both. Do pins for what you want. And what I would do in my groups, in my group board, or in my board that I'm going to share into my groups, is I'm going to create a board, and I'm going to select the ones that are, I'm going to select the one that's the best one and put it in a board. Now I'm going to have other boards, right? So I could have, each pin could be in a different board, or if you wanted to say, if you wanted to focus them all into one, you can. There's really no hard and fast rules, because you can share pins from anywhere, right? I mean, I showed you I've got one here and one here for the same one, but they're different pins. Now, theoretically, you could actually pin everything from one board into another board, but that's one of those manipulation things that they're trying to get rid of. So I wouldn't recommend that.
You're saying one of the same picture into different boards.
You could actually like come in here. Like, so I have these pins here. I could actually repin these into another board. There's actually software out there that does that.
You could. Well, I know it's happened to me just when I like something and I didn't realize, and before I knew it, I pinned it into the wrong one or something, and I was in both. So I've gone in and deleted it, but I didn't know, because I didn't know if that would be a problem to have the same.
Well, they don't want you to pin it twice to the same board. If you're going to pin it twice, you need to pin it into separate boards. But they've said that they're going to crack down on this manipulation stuff, which is, and I suspect that's one of them, where you pin it into one board, then you pin it into this board, then you pin all that into another board, and then you pin all that into another board. And there's people that are doing that just to keep up with, just to make it look like they're pinning a ton and trying to get traffic. And a lot of those may be group boards that they're doing it into. I don't know. So until Pinterest comes out and says what they're doing, I wouldn't try to cheat it at all.
Right. But then again, because I'm going to set up, like you have your featured products, and I can't remember. I don't think I've done that yet. But so I have my featured products, but okay, so that featured products is good for this board. But then this feature product's good for this board. Is that okay to?
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah, I would say that if you want to do your featured products, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do aprons in this one. I'm going to do shirts in this one. I'm going to do socks in this one and ties in this one. That's fine. And I think that would be perfectly fine, that you feature the ones that, even if you want to feature all your products in here, just make sure that your featured products are your best pins. So that way, when you're applying to groups, they'll see that and they'll go, oh yeah, those are some nice pins. And then okay, we'll go ahead and bring them in. But I showed you. And Brian, I'm sure you're on Pinterest, and I'm sure you've seen this. Most pins are crap. Most pins are just taken straight off of, Etsy or whatever. In fact, I don't remember what we looked up on Monday, but I mean, 90% of the pins on there were not optimized. They were horrible. The descriptions were horrible. They had no copy in there that was even relevant. And I'm going, wow, our competition is very low on this. I mean, there's a lot of potential on Pinterest. Yeah, it's going to take some work, but I think there's a lot of potential on Pinterest. When I'm looking at our competition, I'm going, man, people they're not optimizing. Most of them aren't using hashtags, which again, that is something that Pinterest is now really pushing, is the hashtags. So there's a lot of opportunity for us when we're using Pinterest. And unfortunately, a lot of the groups are now starting to get picky about letting people in, and that's where we need to have some content, and we need to have some, good quality pins and make it look like we're a real person. We're building up our followers. So, I mean, all of that's going to count and help us towards, getting into the groups. Now, I could probably apply to groups and get in, and you probably can too, because you've got over 100 people that are following you. But they're saying that to get into the higher quality groups, you need to have some content. And there's an entire Facebook page that's about that. And I've got it bookmarked, and I'll share that when I find it again. But
how do they know that we have content? I mean, are they clicking on every picture? How would they even know?
Look right here, alltimefinds.com. They know that I'm related to alltimefinds.com. And so if they come in here and they don't see a board that's related to mine at all, they're not going to invite me to a group, because what am I sharing? Other people's content. The point of the groups is to be contributing your own unique content. So that's why you have a board up in the front that says, oh, hey, yeah, this is my, All Time Finds featured products. That's my go-to for my products for my posts. So now they can come in here and they can look and see, okay, yeah, these are the ones that she's putting on here that are original to her.
Okay, because I've put on some original pictures on some of my boards, and I'm like, how do they even know that it's, and I've just put it back to my website. Right. I'm thinking, how do they even know? I mean, are they clicking on everything? When you have a lot of people who are probably applying to be in the groups, it's got to be a lot of work.
Well, and that's why you need to make it as easy as possible for them to see that you're providing quality content.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like I said, some of the groups, they just let anybody in, but the higher quality groups are going to be ones that are a little bit pickier.
Okay.
So we're just building for a good quality Pinterest experience. And, we want to drive traffic. We don't want to just pin the sake of pinning. I'll just let Shopify do that for me, because it builds some pretty crappy pins too.
But there's so many that are so cute. I can't help myself. I go a little crazy sometimes.
I know, me too. I'm like, gosh, I'm going to have to hire somebody to do this, because I get so distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Brian's over there laughing at us going, I don't care. No, I say that. But Brian, my husband is like addicted to Pinterest now. I asked him to get on and to do some research for me and stuff. And he's like, and because he's big into the survival stuff, even though we are not survivalists yet. And so he keeps finding all this really cool stuff on Pinterest, and he's like totally into it now. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can't have him help me, because he gets distracted too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you let her do the Pinterest. He's not going to get sucked in. I'm not getting sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think we've got a pretty good game plan now. Build some content out and, sharing it. Brian's obviously got a lot of platforms in place. He's got the least amount of work to do every week. He's like, I'm already ahead of everybody. Now, Brian, I'm interested to know, are you driving a lot of traffic to your site? And do you have a Trek site that you're driving traffic to? Oh, look, there's a button that says having issues. I get distracted easily. Sorry. Gotta let him type it all out.
Button pack.
Okay, so you're going after fundraiser and restaurants. Okay, so that's not even close to the same thing, by the way, fundraiser and restaurants. But local stuff, I'm very good at local stuff. So I definitely have some tips for you. Fundraisers are a little bit harder, because they really have to be, when you're doing fundraising, they have to be your partner in this, right? You can't just go in and say, I'm going to do all the fundraising for you, because they need to give you access to customer lists. They need to give you access to, the data that they have. And, so like, for example, Cassandra, shh, come close the doors. Come close these doors, please. She's singing like at the top of her lungs in the other room. But with fundraisers, like, let's say if I'm doing a school, I'm going to use St. Mary Grady Catholic School right here around the corner for us. If I were to go approach them and say, hey, I want to do Right. Yeah. So tied to cause. But let's say I wanted to go do fundraising for them and say, hey, let's do this. The best strategies are to implement every strategy, right? So you want to get your email marketing in there. You want to get your social media. You want to get them finding stuff. One of the biggest ways, or one of the best ways that somebody could do fundraising has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with Trex. It would be great to be able to do those products, but think about this. You walk in and go, look, you guys need, if you're really interested about fundraising, you need this multi approach. No more going knocking on doors for selling candy bars, because everybody's on a freaking diet. You might as well be knocking on doors and selling health food products. But you go in there and you say, okay, you need to get your email going. Have everybody in your school get everybody's email. Have them all agree to some sort of marketing. Whoever wants to, who doesn't want to, that's fine. They're just jerks. And then you pitch them right around Christmas time or right around Black Friday. What do? You send out an email to them and you say, hey, don't forget that we're on Amazon. You can go ahead and switch to smile.amazon.com, and everything you purchase on Amazon, we get a percentage of that. That is something that that's one of the things that you can do to help them say, look, we're not going to find everything on here. We want to capture everybody. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, messenger bots for pitching. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different strategies in here that if you're going to go in there and you're going to say, look, I want to help you with fundraising, you don't just say, hey, we're going to set up a site for you, because that's only part of it. So you want to use that same email marketing. You've just sent an email and told them about Amazon. Oh, hey, you want something unique this Christmas? Why don't you try something from the school or something from the church or whatever it is? Hey, this is this one. So you pitch it around. You pitch them the same stuff over and over again. Oh, here's a holiday. By the way, there's this sale going on. I would actually go back with Memorial Day or Labor Day, since it's not like a specific theme. I would actually just go back to pushing the Amazon one for that weekend, unless, of course, you wanted to do something like, oh, hey, we're running a sale on ours, because people are looking for a sale that one, and usually fundraising isn't sales. But I mean, there's a lot of different strategies in fundraising that you go in there and you say, hey, I want to be your fundraising partner, and not I want to fundraise for you. And you say, I want to be your fundraising partner. And now you start implementing all of these different strategies, but you got to get them to access this, or build a partnership where they're pushing that content out. They're doing the email marketing, they're doing the social media, set up a whole if this then that campaign for them, so that when they're putting out some sort of, oh, hey, we're putting out an event, and every time they advertise an event, they have links back to where they're back to your site if that's where they're doing their fundraising. But if they're doing fundraising with 3 different ones, have them put those 3, say, hey, don't forget, help us with our fundraising efforts, check out these 3 sites. So yes, you'll have your cause specific ones, because those, when you're doing a cause, it's usually an open and close. You've got your okay, we're going to do it for this month, we're focusing on this. Because if you do a cause and it's year round, people don't feel like there's that, oh, I can just buy it later. So you need to drive them, keep reminding them and driving them to that at those specific times, all the time. And when we're doing an event, don't forget you can get your shirts from here to help support us. Oh yeah, we're in the division playoffs, we've got some special shirts coming out, whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that can go into fundraising. I've always wanted to get involved in that, but I've never found anybody who's very interested in actually fundraising. They're like, our idea of fundraising is just asking people for money. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's not effective.
That's one of the biggest problems. But now you said Amazon. You're taking them away from any sales that we're going to make.
Well, keep in mind that the reason why Trex is there is that we're trying to brand them usually. We're not just creating a smiley face on a shirt and hoping it sells. We're usually branding them. So St. Margrethe Public, they're in a private school, so their school mascots going on their items, right? So that's one strategy. But people are going to be buying a lot more. They're going to go buy their toilet paper. They're going to buy their specialty toothpaste, or in my case, my specialty floss that I can never find anywhere locally. They're going to go buy that stuff on Amazon. And why not capitalize on that? Why not say, hey, look, while you're doing your Amazon shopping this year, do it through smile.amazon.com. Designate us as your charity of choice. You give them one email every quarter reminding them of that, or right around major holidays. Mother's Day is a major holiday. So yes, you've got your Mother's Day items, but I would mix that up a little bit. Say, hey, here's our branded stuff. Because if you're doing a fundraising for a specific school, it's not usually general stuff, or for any type of thing. Like if you're doing it for a sports team, it's not going to be general stuff usually. It's going to be stuff that they're like, it's focused on their team and their, I mean, yes, you can have a general store, but those usually don't work very well.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, so they're going to be like, okay, you know what? Skip the shirt. I'll just buy my toilet paper and my whatever's here. And now they're getting money and I don't have to go buy a t-shirt. So now we're out with our stores of the whole equation.
No, they're not going to swap it out. They're going to still
Oh,
buy the stuff from
a
you.
lot of people will, I think. I hate to
I
say
don't.
it.
I
I
don't
did.
think so. I still buy stuff on Amazon that I don't buy anywhere else. I'm never going to go buy the stuff that, I'm never going to, toilet paper doesn't come from our stores. So when I do, I go over there. So,
Right, but they may think, well, that's my donation. See, people have, well, I don't know how they are around you. People around here, that's their mind frame. Now, I also did one for a church. They put it in all their bulletins. Da, da, da. I got two sales, and they were both from the same woman. Not one person, and that's one of my worries about fundraising is, okay, when you're standing at someone's door, can you help us, give us some money, buy a candy bar? They feel guilty. They're going to do it. They don't want to be the one who said no. When you're putting it out in a school bulletin, church bulletin, a, event flyer, they don't know that you didn't buy anything. Well, they will because they've had no sales, I guess. So they know, oh, nobody helped us. But in reality, you're not face to face to these people where, so it's easy to say, no, I don't, I'm not doing that.
right. Well, and see, what Brian's saying is, so he's got, he's going to provide the products, so the shirts for them, so they don't have the inventory and there's no forms to get the order. So they can still go door to door and push them and say, hey, look, if they wanted to do it as a form, they could. But now they can go back and plug the information in and process it or whatever, or they could do it on an iPad or something. Somebody could just purchase it right then and there. So it doesn't eliminate that. It just gives it additional strategies. Now, like I said, now you become their fundraising partner. And so instead of every email being like, oh, here, buy our shirt that is this, now it's okay, especially during the peak holiday seasons, look, you can get these gifts specialty here. And I wouldn't do them at the same time, right? You only want to give them really focused. But you can send out an email saying, here you go, here are some ways that you could help us fundraise this year. So I do agree with you that if you send an email and say, here, pick from Amazon or pick from us, people are going to shop over to Amazon. But if you say, hey, it's the holiday season, don't forget that when you're buying on Amazon, buyonsmile.com, designate us. That's just one way that they can fundraise. And if you, as their fundraising partner, help them with this and help them organize that and categorize it, they're going to be more interested in working with you and, yes, pushing your items. But they're not going to be able to go on Amazon and buy that branded shirt that's just from your store. So you're not competing directly with Amazon, because the idea is that you go, hey, look, and this is where it goes back to, yes, if you're going to do a cause or a specific theme. We did a brand, let's say you did a branded Mother's Day shirt, then you wouldn't push Amazon. But it just depends on what they're offering. So like if you're doing just a general dog one, yeah, you're going to have competition. But if you're doing one that's specifically, okay, we're the, in fact, I think when I was in elementary school, we were the pit bulls. So we have our specific logo on there with the pit bulls. And we go, okay, that's our fundraising effort. Now we send an email out and we say, hey, you know what, here's but we can't go into the school thinking that we're going to be their only fundraising effort. So if we go in there as a partner and say, look, you need to be doing more than just hoping people come to the site. You need to be email marketing them. You need to be putting it on social media. You need to be adding it to the event stuff, whether it's us or Amazon or whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a lot more to it than just setting up the site and telling them to fundraise. But again, if we don't have a good product and people don't want it, that's what's going to happen. So you got to work with them. They obviously should know what has sold in the past. Like if they've never done any type of shirts, it's going to be experimental. Right? I mean, because if you go in there and you design a shirt, you stick it out there, you have no idea if people are going to like it until they buy it. But you are right. There is an element of guilt when they're standing in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not for me. I don't have any. I feel no loyalty to the schools around here. There's too many of them. I mean, we'll get like 6 kids from 6 different schools all on the same day, and we're going, look, I know it's fundraising week or something there, but you guys, all you do is clog up my roads. So unless you can fix that, I'm not donating anything. I know, not very nice. I support the poor kids at the Catholic school.
At the what school?
The Catholic school. Wait, I was looking at this one. Instead of sending the kid home with 4 instead do it like right. And Brian, that's exactly because what ends up happening is, and there's a better strategy with that too, right? So now you send it out and say, hey, we're doing a fundraiser, because that's what they're normally used to, right? They do a fundraiser for candy bars, for example, but it's within X amount of time. So you say, okay, X amount of time. So when you're running your fundraiser, that's when Trex comes in handy. We're running our fundraiser on the t-shirt. So now when you're not running the fundraiser on a t-shirt, that's when you start pushing them to, hey, go to smile.amazon.com and buy you remind them of the other stuff. So you run your marketing campaigns for your particular your fundraising campaign at that point. But it doesn't mean people can't purchase year round. It just means that you're going to try to capitalize on them, because once they do that and they get into the habit of going to smile.amazon.com, you're not reminding them all the time, right? You might, maybe once in a while, you're just going, oh, hey, don't forget that to shop on Smile, which Amazon does this anyway, right? They send you an email, oh, hey, you haven't been on smile.amazon.com for a while. Maybe you want to hop over there and go to your charity.
But now we don't get anything from that.
No, but we're not buying our item from there unless we put our item on there. But so that's my point, though, is when you're doing fundraising with an actual, for example, a shirt in this case, you usually do fundraising over a period of time. So 2 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on what it is. And you say, okay, well, we're going to collect all of them, and then they do it all at once. And my guess is that Brian's working with them to do something like that, where they get a better discount on the shirts if they purchase them all at once from Print Tech instead of individually. That's my guess, because that would be if you're going to do a specific fundraiser like that, it's cheaper usually to do that, where you can go and get, screen printed shirts for, pennies instead of doing it. Yeah, bulk discount, exactly. So that's usually what happens. But now, so that's the difference, is that when you're doing event-based, fundraising event-based, you're doing it based on like a 4 to 6 week period, or 2 to 6 week period, depending on what it is. And then you close the fundraiser down, right? So now Trex is no longer in play. Our Trex store is no longer in play because the fundraiser shut down. So now they're not going to go ahead and do that again for the next 6 weeks. I mean, they can, but you just sold them a shirt. Why don't you give them a break and offer them something else? Now you pitch them with a Amazon one, or you pitch them with, I'm sure there are other ones. Amazon's just the biggest one that I think of. With something else. Okay, we've got our wrapping paper one that they're doing, right? Okay, so will you become one of their strategies and you're partnering with them? But if you do it right and you come in there as a partner, that's when you can say, hey, if you rely on them, I'm sure you guys all know this, most schools do not know how to market. They have no idea about marketing at all. So they just think that if they fundraise, that because they've had people, they just go, the teachers will tell the parents, which is great, except that now you've got to rely on that. So, okay, what about the parents that don't hear about it? Or what about, because there's a lot of parents that never talk to the teachers, once in a while maybe. So you go, okay, well, we got to reach them. So now you say, okay, now I'm your partner. Okay, we're part of this. Let's talk about marketing this more. And ideally, you go in there as eventually, and I'm sure somebody like Brian, I'm sure you could do something like this, where you start off by volunteering that information, then shift it into a paid, okay, they're going to pay you for your marketing expertise. So it's something you can build on. But I mean, you go in there and say, hey, we're going to do this as a partnership. And okay, now that we've done this, now you should be fundraising something else. They should be fundraising year round. Whether it's with you or with somebody else, they need to be fundraising year round, because this whole, let's wait until everybody's fundraising at the same time is a joke. They should be trying to get money coming in all the time. And that's where Amazon comes in handy. So when they're fundraising with you and then you close it, now they can fundraise for something else for the next 6 weeks. And then they can go back to you for the next project. That gives you time to get the artwork in place, get everything done, right? I mean, so as long as you've got this strategy going, and they're your partner, you guys are partners now. So that builds it up. They're going to keep coming back to you. They're not going to go to somebody else who comes in and says, oh, I can undercut them, because they don't care, because you're giving them a value that they can't get from somebody who undercuts you. Oh, that's cool. So you're doing like shirts with the restaurants. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, actually, Brian, I'm trying to build in Chatmatic stuff for some restaurants where they can scan the code and do stuff. Yeah, the shirts, the coupon. That's
Really
pretty cool.
Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But then they have to order them ahead of time, correct, Brian? I mean, they have to. So if I don't know how they'd give them out. I don't know how. Are they having people buy them to get their discount, or are they you're just giving them out to their best customers?
Oh, okay. So customer buys.
And gives them
The
away.
customer buys the shirt. Okay, yeah.
Well, that's not bad for $5. What do you give them, like $10? And that's a good deal for their better customers, I guess. That's a cool idea.
So they're like buying their own coupon code, their own forever coupon code. That's a really good way to get repeat, especially if you're targeting people who want to be repeat customers too. Okay, yeah. Oh, every Friday is wear your shirt in day or whatever. Friday's probably not the best day, but Wednesday, Wednesday's usually a slower day for a lot of them.
And then they're wearing it all day and advertising for them.
Yeah, meal deal with a shirt purchase. Yeah, so they purchase the shirt and then they wear them on those specific days and get a discount. That's a really great way to bring in loyal ones. Yeah, and the chat to remind people and promote that. Yeah, that's good. Now you got to be careful though. Are you using Messenger for that? Yeah, you got to be really careful with ManyChat strategies. A lot of people are getting shut down with ManyChat because they're not teaching it right. So one of the things that Facebook has said about Messenger, which is funny because they've also said don't relate Facebook with Messenger anymore. So they are definitely separating the two platforms, but they said that you cannot use Messenger to market to people after 24 hours. And the exception to that is if they specifically sign up to get that, but it's up to right now, it's up to Facebook or I guess Messenger if you are violating their terms of service or not. So, and that's just going to be based on complaints. So you got to make sure there's a clear unsubscribe and everything else. I mean, we were actually having this discussion in Chatmatic because there's been like a bunch, like 150 people or something like that in the last couple of weeks that have been shut down by Facebook. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. As long as it's a very clear opt-in, like they have to clearly say, yes, I agree that I'm opting in to get marketing messages. That's basically what you're going to have to put in there. So I would just be very careful. Yeah, no, ManyChat's an okay platform. They're a little expensive when you start getting a lot of subscribers, and I don't have any complaints about their platform. What I complain, and this is what I've been saying this all along, their training is horrible. And the people that are out there, I mean, it's probably better than it was 6 months ago, but when I looked at it 6 months ago, it was appalling. They were teaching things completely wrong, and there were people complaining about it left and right that they were getting shut down by Facebook because they were using Messenger wrong. And now with this whole API incident, they're going to crack down even more. So I would say just be very careful that you're very clear that it's not a soft opt-in, it's a very hard opt-in where they're saying, yes, I am opting in to get notified of marketing messages outside of, you don't have to say outside the window, but that they are very clearly saying I am doing this, and that they agree to that when they opt in. Because if it's a soft opt-in, which is what a lot of people do, is they'll just go, oh yeah, here, I'm going to give you, this is the giveaways, right? Oh, you need to opt in and we're doing this giveaway. And then they do marketing messages out of that. And they've actually said that that's against the terms of service. Facebook has clarified that and said, this is against the terms of service. So they haven't clarified much, but that's one that, I mean, like I said, ManyChat, fine platform. I'm not worried about the platform. It's their training is questionable. And I've listened to one of their guys and he like has no information about, it's all like theory and hypothetical. And I was like, okay, so you kind of do have to guess, but I don't know. I like if you I'm not saying give up on ManyChat and go to Chatmatic. I'm saying keep ManyChat, hop into Travis's bots and business one. I think that's what it's called. Bots and business. I think that's what it's called. Bots and business. Remember if it's a Bots in business. No, that was wine. Messenger bot secrets. That's what it is. So it's his Messenger bot secrets one. This one is not Chatmatic specific. It's about bots in general. So I would hop in there and just watch some of the stuff he says, because he'll come out with some of it. Yeah, no kidding. Exactly. Yeah, Brian. No, like I said, many chats features are great. It's their training that's questionable. So, and price wise, they're fine. Especially like Chatmatic's going to jump in price big time, right? Like since I'm an alpha, I'm going to get 10 free memberships. But exactly, black hat ideas, exactly. So I would watch some of what Travis comes out with, because he has not been, the only time he's ever been kicked off of Facebook had nothing to do with him, and they even were like, "Oops, sorry about that." So he has not been tagged for doing something wrong or had any pages shut down. Whereas there are people in, oh my God, there's so many people in the Chatmatic group that are dumb though, but they'll come in, "Oh, well, I got banned for this," and then he digs into it. He goes, "Yeah, you got banned because of ManyChat, because of what you're doing in ManyChat, not because of what you're doing in Chatmatic." And he built Chatmatic so you can't do the stuff that you can do in ManyChat that gets you in trouble, like sending out broadcast messages that are marketing messages after 24 hours. And so he has some he can at least give you the basic stuff, the rules that ManyChat's not sharing, and that's his general one. He still pitches Chatmatic, but you can, the stuff he talks about in there is supposed to apply to any type of bot. And there's supposedly a lot of people that are ManyChat people that are in that group. So anyway, just something to consider. Okay, we're pushing an hour and 45 minutes. I better get going. I think everybody's home waiting for me for dinner. My mom's here. That's what she does. She bakes, cooks, and cleans. That's what she does all the time. And I'm like, this is like the cleanest house ever.
Nice. Can she come to my house and do that?
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so Brian, I've heard of Brett Ratucky, and he is a total D-bag, for the record. Like in real life, D-bag. Like I've never met him in person, but I sent him an email once and asked him a question, and he said, "Well, since you weren't clear on the question, I can't help you." And I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Because I was more passive in how I said that. And I'm like, oh, I totally sent him an email and ripped him apart. And I'm like, you need to knock that off. I've followed you and bought a ton of your crap. But I'm going to be honest that his stuff is a little bit lower level. Like, for example, he has a Mail It plugin, and I haven't seen the newest version that's coming out, but there's another plugin that's way better. And I can't remember what it is. If Mail It's what you're looking at, message me or remind me in the group or something, and I'll tell you the other one that's way better, because you can integrate it with third-party platforms. You can do so much more with it, and you can automate. You can make posts so that it automatically emails out to your email list. I mean, it's really cool, and it's the same type of concept as Mail It, but it just has more flexibility to it and more options. But he has a lot of stuff he does is like, it's for like entry level things. So there's a lot of his products are like that anyway. So I'm assuming you found Brett Ratucky, and he talks the talk, but when it comes down to it, it's like, yeah, he's definitely not. Yeah. Anyway, I don't like him though as a person. I would never want to meet him. He's not somebody I'd want to stalk. I'll stalk somebody else if I were going to stalk somebody. I'm too lazy, but that's why I'm like, you get people out there who are like, they want stalkers. They want the people who are like, buy all their merchandise and stuff. I'm not that person. So nobody wants. Yeah, you know what? I have used his Jacker, and it conflicts with some of my other plugins. And it's still not. I have other ones that are better. Like, what was that one I have? Elementio? I think it's Elementio, where you can put like pop-ups over it and stuff like that. But yeah, his stuff he has a lot of like entry-level stuff, but yeah, like I said, after he pissed me off that one time, I kind of stopped buying his stuff. And I started realizing that a lot of what he has is, the one thing I do like though of his is called, can't remember exactly, but I technically sell it. I think he actually gives it away for free on his site somewhere. I just can't remember what it's called real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Seller. Seller's dashboard. I obviously don't drive a lot of traffic here right now. It's called affiliate tracks. See here, this one, yeah. So it's called affiliate tracks, and this one is if you're selling stuff off of JVZoo. I think that's what this is. Yeah. So if you're selling anything off of JVZoo, I mean, obviously you want to implement your like if you have a program like SendLane, or I don't know if MailChimp integrates, but anyway, so like one of those, you want to do that. But what happens is that, like, let's say sometimes that doesn't work, but what you can put this in there and it'll pull over all their information into its own affiliate tracks platform. So I like it because you can get a snapshot independent and you can pull out the emails and stuff, which if you don't have SendLane, or just pull it out here and then you at least have that information. So I use it as a backup in case something else goes wrong. So I have this one and my SendLane attached. And I'll be honest, SendLane goes down a hell of a lot more on their connections than I'd like. But then so does, like, I cannot remember the other ones. Well, anyway, so you go into JVZoo. I don't know if you sell at JVZoo or not, but if you do, if you go into their tools, I can't do it. It's too resource intensive. There's too much stuff open, too much crap going on here. There. Anyway, so yeah, he's got, like I said, for entry level, for the prices, it's fine. Yeah, his price point does work, but there's so much more power in some other programs. So if you start on something, if you can get in on a couple of his, and like I resell a bunch of his stuff now, but then I go, wait, I found something even better. Oh, I found this one that's even better. And what I really liked about it was I could resell his stuff. That was where I liked it. But then I go, well, I'd rather provide you guys with products that are, you and anybody else, products that are better. I'd rather do, like I said, if it's Mail It that you're looking at, message me and I'll tell you the one that's even better. And it's a WordPress plugin. But he does have a lot of different products that are okay. Some of them I like, some of them I don't. But for the price points, they're fine. Yeah. He's just a jerk. And I really want to go, you know what? If you want to make more money, you should be nicer to people, because he's lost out on a freaking ton of money from me. I don't buy anything. I used to specifically buy stuff through him because I was trying to support him. I don't do that anymore at all. I won't buy anything from him. Through him, if I see him promote something that I want to buy, I'll go find it from somebody else or buy it just straight from JVZoo and miss out on any bonuses, because I do not like him after that. There are people here. That was the door here. Huh? Yeah, so he's capitalizing on, I don't know why he lets you sell it for 100%, because he's got to be doing something with the emails. He's got to be taking those emails and putting them in his own list. But yeah, anyway, yeah, his stuff's okay. And I just kind of grew up and went past him pretty fast. Like, he has a webinar thing that uses Google Hangouts, and it's nice for an entry level, but so no, I mean, Brian, I've used some of his stuff. I used Mail It. I used to use Mail It all the time. In fact, it was the only program I can get to work and spam people. But then I decided it was a waste of my time and my life, because spamming people really doesn't make money unless you really are going to dedicate a lot of resources to it. And I didn't want to. I did make a little bit of money, but then I decided it wasn't worth my time. I'll do other stuff like search engine optimization, because I could spend just as much time doing that and make a hell of a lot more money than spamming people, that is. All right. Well, I'd love to see, I'd love to hear your guys' progress on stuff. If you have any gaps, if you're missing something, if you have questions on something. I know I'm building something in my mind and trying to help you guys build that too. But if you're stuck somewhere, or if if there's some element that's missing, it's that kind of breaks down a little bit of it. It's not as powerful, I should say. But the more we build and the more powerful our entities become, then I think we'll definitely do really good, especially during the holidays. It's really hard to say with any certainty how well any one product or one niche will do. I mean, we've had this discussion before, you know, like Trex does the religious stuff, and on Facebook, as soon as they said, oh yeah, go on Facebook, I'm going, I question that. Of course, I was questioning the whole Facebook thing anyway. We will see what happens. Facebook's just pushed out a new policy that they made everybody agree to, I don't know, a couple days ago. So they're making some changes that should be coming to a head here pretty soon, and then we should know where everything stands on advertising. But
What kind of policy?
You know, I had to agree to them, so I'm trying to think what they were. They're doing development. Oh, it was advertising. Like you used to be able to just load up customer lists with emails, and you kind of vaguely said, oh yeah, I agree that these are emails that I got legit, but specific things. Yeah. So, okay, Brian, well, post any questions you have in the group, because that's the best way for me to know which way we should be going. Like if you guys need more help on doing designs, if you need, I mean, we've talked about this, about designs before, but if you want more help on any of that stuff, just post it in the group and I can help focus on that. But yeah, so Facebook said your custom emails now you have to like prove, or will be able to prove, that they've agreed to be on your marketing list. So if you check a box when you load them now saying, yes, I've collected all these, they've all given me permission. And if somebody complains, they're going to come back to you. And if you can't prove it, they're shutting you down.
Oh.
So they're really starting to focus in on making sure that everybody's using the information legitimately.
All right. Well, you should probably get going because you have company.
Yeah, apparently.
So, thank you for everything. And have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian, for coming, and thanks for joining me, Joanne. And I know Linda's not here, but thanks, Linda, for coming and participating. And like I said, let me know in the group. Let me know if you need to message me. That's fine too. Whatever. I'd love to see you guys be successful. I think by the end of the year we should all be successful. So we want to find out where those gaps are and start filling those gaps and fixing stuff now. So just let me know how I can help.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you guys or talk to you on Monday.
Yep. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.